So we've got low to high elo depending on what rank you are. So low elo is going to be from bronze all the way up to plat. And then high elo is going to be diamond all the way to the highest rank, eternity, one above all, celestial, GM, where you can start banning the characters. Let's start off with number 1. We've got Captain America. He is going to go in F tier on the low elo because he's a diving character. He requires a little bit of skill to use, and a lot of people at the lower ranks don't really know how to use him. So you're pretty much just going to be running around and getting blasted at the low elo when you play this character. His ultimate is okay. It doesn't really do much for the team. It's a pretty selfish ult, and he doesn't do a lot of damage. You're just running around delaying the inevitable pretty much when you're playing him at the low elo. And also, if you're good with a bad character, good for you. Let's see where he ranks in high elo. He's going to go in C. People at this rank know how to play him a little bit more, but I'm still not really seeing him being played that much at the higher ranks. Again, mainly because he doesn't do much for the team. You're spending a lot of your time running around. Moving on to Doctor Strange. He is hands down S tier in the low elo. He's got the shield, the teleporter, and his ultimate goes ham. His ultimate can make game-changing plays for the whole team. His main damage attack is also pretty good, especially when you stun him in the ult. And then his E, where he blasts the damage from his body, is also really good when you charge it up all the way. He's also going to go in S tier for the high elo. He's hands down right now one of the best tanks, probably top 3 tank. I'll get into the other 2 right after this. He just does so much for the team at high elo, especially with the shield blocking damage. And then you need that teleporter to block the spawns, to get back to the point to contest. I mean, there's so many things about Doctor Strange. We're going to sit here forever if we make a whole video on him, but he is definitely the best tank for lower elo and high elo right now. Moving on to Groot. He's going to be in B tier in the lower elo. He's pretty simple to use. The walls are simple to use. His ultimate, you just throw it, brings everyone in. He's a little bit easier to kill at the lower elo if you don't know how to position yourself correctly and if you don't know how to move around with Groot and position the walls effectively. He's going to go in S tier for high elo. Yep, Groot is a top 3 tank right now along with Doctor Strange. People are banning him diamond and above because he's so good, especially those walls. If you're not shooting out those walls, and the easiest character to shoot out those walls is Punisher, if you don't have a Punisher shooting out the walls, he is just going to be getting free damage the whole way through the game. There's a lot of team-ups with Groot where you can power it up with his ultimate, or you can just throw the ult and everyone focuses the team at the same time. Moving on to Hulk, he's going to go in A tier for the low elo. Pretty simple to use, lots of health. He's very fun. He's pretty friendly to the lower elo skill players. He can take a lot of damage. His ultimate's a nice backup when you're about to die. It goes pretty ham. And he's great to stall the point and cause a lot of mayhem for the other team. He's also going to go in A tier for the high elo, mainly because he gets the Gamma power-up with Iron Man, and people at this rank know how to utilize both of them. And he's just also a very safe pick in ranked. He was getting banned a lot, but now we're starting to see Thing get banned a lot, so we're going to get into that later on when he comes up. Magneto, another S tier pick. He's going to go in my top 3 with Strange, Groot, and Magneto for the tanks that are best in the game right now. His bubble goes clutch. Got the shield. Just put it up for your team. You block damage. You protect them. Super simple. His ult is very good at countering so many other people's ults. Even if you don't LeBron James dunk on them, you soak up a lot of damage when you're using it when there's another offensive ult going on. Star-Lord, Punisher, whatever. You get the point. And the bubble is very clutch if your teammates are about to die. He's also going to go in S tier, hands down the best tank for all the reasons that I just listed. People are also banning Magneto at the top high elos as well. Moving on to Penny Parker. I know, I'm sorry guys, but she's going to go in F tier for the low tier. She is just not that good at the lower ranks. A lot of people don't know where to put the nests, don't know how to position properly, and she's only good in certain scenarios. I will say this, you could probably move her up the list if you get her on the King of the Hill maps, and if you know how to play defense with the push the carts maps, hiding the nest, and, you know, planning the mines out properly and knowing when to time her ult. Her ult is actually pretty good, but she's going to go in F tier on the low elo. Now, for the higher elo, we're going to put her in B because I have seen scenarios at my rank, Celestial 3, that she is pretty good. And a lot of people at the higher elos, they like to run the dive meta with the Black Panther, Spider-Man, Venom. If you sit in the nests and you just tuck away in there, the dive heroes get countered pretty easily without you having to have skill to kill them because of the spider webs. She would be a little higher if she was more useful for every single game mode, for every single situation, and I just don't think she is compared to the top 3, the big 3 up there. Moving on to the Thing, I've put him in C tier for the lower elo, and here's why. A lot of people at the lower ranks, they just gun-ho W key straight into the other enemy and get absolutely obliterated. Now, yes, he can do a lot of damage. His ultimate is pretty decent. He's great for creating space, probably better than Hulk, but he's a little harder to use and requires a bit more skill to use because you gotta time your abilities when you're jumping to your teammates to get out effectively. For higher elo, if you know how to play him, this guy is causing a lot of devastation right now at the higher ranks. I'm even seeing some people banning him. If you need to turn the game around and nothing is working, I suggest you have someone switch the Thing because this guy, if you know how to play him and not overextend, you can start clobbering the other team so freaking fast. You can just start punching the healers. Actually, Tim the Tanman's pretty good with him. If you can go watch a VOD from him using him, he knows how to use his combos effectively. He knows how to get in and knows how to get out, back to the healers, protecting the healers if they're getting dove, and just constantly, you're kind of just doing a tug-of-war match with Thing. You're going forward, going back, going forward, going back, but you need some IQ to play him, and that's why he's S tier right now at the higher elos. Moving on to Thor. I've put him in D tier because he's not that good at the lower elo. A lot of people don't know how to use his combos and also overextend just like the Thing. He's pretty easy to kill if you're not comboing his abilities together to get that extra armor and knowing when to do damage, knowing when to get in, and knowing when to go out. His ultimate is pretty easy to use, but I see a lot of people still breaking it because you don't actually move that fast when you're using the ult. So you kind of got to be already near the enemy, ready to strike them. At the higher ranks, he has his position. He's an A tier. If you know how to do the positioning, if you've learned his combos and his ultimates together, he's very, very good as an A tier pick. But again, the 4 above him that I've chosen are probably just a lot better. And last but not least, we've got Venom. I've thrown him in F tier for the lower elo, and here's why. People do not know how to move around with this guy at the lower ranks. They are walking up the walls, they're diving in, they don't know how to time the armor pack ability, and they are just getting absolutely slaughtered. They think they're a better version of Spider-Man, they think they can stay alive longer, but I've seen a lot of people at the lower elo just absolutely bricking this character, so there's no point in playing him if you haven't really learned him, and he takes a bit of skill to learn. If you can learn him, guess where he's going for the high elo? A tier. Yep, this guy's an A tier pick. He might even be S tier if you can get really, really good with him. They've done a little buff-ish with him. If you can figure out this character, he is so freaking good. I put him a little lower in my tank tier list. I'm gonna have to take back what I said because this guy, he's ruthless. If you get someone who's playing Venom with the other dive DPS characters, oh my goodness, it's almost raps for you. Like you're sitting there, you're just shooting this guy the whole game, and you can't freaking kill him. He never dies. If you time the armor pack ability of correctly with the ultimate, I mean, this guy's got like 3,000 bajillion HP. He's brutal. That's my tank tier list. Let's move on to where we rank the DPS. If you're enjoying this video, please make sure you drop a like and hit that subscribe button. I also stream live on Twitch every night in the evening around 8 p.m. Eastern. Catch me on there for some ranked Marvel Rivals grinding. Drop a follow. Would love for you guys to jump in. Let's get back into the video. Starting off with our good old boy, Black Panther. He is in F tier. Now you're going to start seeing a little bit of a pattern here. I've put a lot of the diving characters from low elo in the F tier because they require a lot of skill to use. If you don't know how to use BP, he's a hard character. You need to learn the combos, and the ultimate is good when it's used right, but you need a lot of smarts, a lot of positioning. You got to be able to move fast, turning around 180 dashes, and that's why he's going to go in the lower elo F tier. And now, he's an A tier pick at the higher elo. Listen, once you get to Diamond, once you get to GM, Celestial, you're going to run into a lot of Black Panthers. And most of the time, they're actually pretty good, except for when they're on my team. When they're on my team, for some reason, they suck a lot. I'm just kidding. I've had a few, but you know how it is. Come on, I don't got to explain it to you guys. That's why he's going to go in A tier. If you figure this guy out, you can pretty much just decimate a healer like that in 2 seconds. Boom, they're done. You're up 5v6 the whole time. They don't have heals. You're pretty much single-handedly winning fights for your team. But in order to play this character, you need an ego, right? You got to be super confident. You got to know that you're going to take them out. A lot of Black Panthers at the higher elo are pretty good, so that's why he's going to be an A tier pick. Moving on to Widow, she is an F tier for the lower elo. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. We all know her. You got to have really good aim, and a lot of people at the lower elo can aim to save their life. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. But as you get better, your aim can improve. And, her ultimate's not that good, let's be honest. But once you get the higher ranks, she's still a D pick. Listen, if you're really good on Widow, there's been a few. We can move her up to A, right? If you can get it working with the team comp. But overall, there's so many other characters that are better than her for overall damage output that she's just going to be in D pick. And I swear to God, most people, when they pick her, they're just throwing the game. They just, we've lost, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to sit back and we're going to sit and spawn and try to get some headshot snipes. Moving on to Hawkeye, he's a little better. He's still going to be in D tier for the low elo because he does require a lot of skill to aim. He's pretty self-explanatory. There's not much to go over with him other than you just need really good aim. But if you can aim really well with him, he's going to be in B tier, maybe even A tier if you've got that Shroud, Terminator aim. And then his other abilities, I mean, they don't really do much. They can defend you a little bit. You've got the little ult or whatever. But the main point with this guy is his main attack. And if you've got really good aim, you can hit those dinks, you can hit those headshots. He's going to be a little bit higher up in the list. Moving on to Hela. A little better than Hawkeye, I would say. She's going to go in C tier in the lower elo, again, only because you have to aim. That's pretty much the same premise with all these pinpoint shooters. Her ultimate's pretty easy to use, a little better than Hawkeye's and Widow's. That's why she's also a little bit higher. You just go up in the air and throw them down. I don't really got to explain it for you guys, but you need really good aim and you need to understand positioning, getting those off angles. But if you do know how to aim and you do understand positioning at the higher ranks, she's an S tier pick. I'm actually seeing her get banned as well. I run Hela a lot, and if you want to carry without dying a lot, you just sit in the back, you aim well, and you can just eliminate so many people from the other team when you're just sitting back, knocking those headshots. Moving on to the Human Torch. He's going to go in C tier at the lower elo. Not that much skill to use. He's pretty simple. You just go up in the sky, you pepper them with the fire, you launch the right attack, you make a square for people to die in. But he does need a little bit of movement IQ, right? Once you start getting to the higher levels, but he's a safe pick, so you should be okay flying up there in the sky because you're probably not going to die from someone who's a pinpoint shooter. At the higher elo, I've also put him in the C tier pretty much because people at this rank know how to aim. So if you go Johnny and the other team has a Hela, you're probably going to get wiped, right? He's just all right unless you compare him with the Storm combo and get a lot of goated heals while you're flying around. Or if someone on the other team doesn't have a aim character, then you'll be pretty much safe. But as soon as another team sees that you have this guy on your team, they're going to go to Hela, Punisher, or even Star-Lord and just get up in your grill and start frying you. Moving on to Iron Fist. I know, I'm sorry, guys. F tier in the low elo. Every single time I get this guy Shitter Fist, I call him on my team at the lower elo. He is brutal. They're just spending your time running around on the walls. I know he got a little bit of a buff. Yeah, okay, I get it. He does a little bit more damage, all that good stuff. You can't really do that much with him at the lower elo because people don't know how to play him. Now, if you get to the higher elo, I've still ranked them F tier because I fucking hate it. When these guys are on my team, they never do good. But listen, all jokes aside, you could probably move him up on the list to maybe B tier if you're really good with him. I just hate this character. Every time they're on my team, they're never doing enough damage. They're always running around. They think they're hot shit, but there's just so many other characters that they could be playing that are just going to do more damage output. And Iron Fist is not that guy. You're not him, bro. Okay, he's a bit more annoying than Spider-Man when I get him on my team. Moving on to another dive. Oh, sorry. We've got Iron Man here. My bad. I was looking at my list. Iron Man. He's going to go in A tier for the lower elo. Super simple to use. You can get the Gamma team up with Hulk going because no one's going to get banned at the lower elo. And he does just very normal, consistent damage output. You fly around up there. You're hard to shoot. You rain down your little bombs. You've got the laser. And then you get the Gamma team up with Hulk and Strange, and then you're vibing. And his ultimate is very simple. You just aim it, and then boom, you send a big explosion to kill pretty much everyone who gets hit by it. And then in high elo, he's actually going to go in F tier, mainly for the reason that if you get a hit scan character, he's just going to get blasted up in there. Moving on to Magic. Yep, I'm sorry guys, I've had to put her in the F tier at low elo. She could maybe be D tier, but again, she's just similar to all the other dive characters. I'm not going to go fully explaining her kit, but it's just very similar to the other dive characters that if you don't know how to move around quickly, you don't know how to position yourself and time your abilities, you're just going to get fried at the lower elo. At the higher elo, she is going to go B tier. If you're really good with her, maybe A tier up there with Black Panther. I've just found that a lot of magics just aren't as good as they think they are at the higher elos. If you can master her, get really good with her, you can maybe move her up to A tier. Somewhere around this A-B tier is where I would put her, just because of the other characters that are a little bit better than her. Going on to my personal favorite, Mr. Fantastic. He's gonna go in D tier at the lower elo. He's all right. He doesn't require a lot of skill to use, which is why he's a little better than F, but he's just not that good at providing damage. Yeah, he's good at stalling the point and all that good stuff. He's pretty easy to kill once you figure him out. And then his ultimate is usually just a waste of time at the lower elo. I rarely see people using it correctly, especially at the lower elo. Now, at the higher elo, I'm putting him in F. This guy is doo-doo. I never have a good Mr. Fantastic on my team in Celestial or GM for some reason. I've run into one or two. Again, if you're good on a bad character, good for you. That's awesome. For the most part, he is just poop. Please don't play him. Unless you really want to, for fun. Go ahead. Moving on to another classic, Moon Knight. This guy is going to go in A tier for sure for the lower elo. Maybe even S tier if you really wanted it to. He's simple to use. He does a lot of damage. You don't need that much positioning. You know, get a little bit of the high ground. You throw the Unk on the ground and you spam it, right? When you get the ultimate, you throw the Unk on the ground, pop the ultimate, spam the Unk. And you're just going to cause easy devastation for the team. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to kill you because their aim isn't as good. Now, at the higher elo, he's going to go to D tier because he's a little easier to kill. You can maybe move him up to C. Maybe. I've seen a few instances where he's been good at the higher ranks, but most of the time, a lot of people just aren't playing Moon Knight, mainly because he gets pretty countered easily at the higher ranks. Moving on to a next one, my favorite. It's going to be Namor. Now, I've put him in D tier in the lower elo. The reason I've done that is because a lot of people aren't running the dive characters, so you don't really need to play Namor at the lower elo. He takes a little bit of skill to use. There's some aim mechanics involved. You got to know where to position the turrets. You can't just throw them randomly on the ground. They'll get shot out at that low elo. You got to know to throw them up high, all that good stuff. And then his ult, it's actually a little tricky to use, right? It's not as simple as just, oh, they're over there, I'm going to use it right now. You got to time it and all that good stuff. And your positioning needs to be really key with Namor. If not, you're going to get caught out and get killed easily. At the higher elo, this guy's S tier. You need a Namor if you're getting Dove, especially with the Luna team up. If you're not running Namor and the other team's got BP, Spider-Man, Venom, you're cooked. You're cooked. The first thing you hear if they got a Spider-Man, Black Widow, whatever magic, hey, someone swapped to Namor, right? That's why a lot of people are banning Luna, because Namor with Luna is actually very, very devastating. Sometimes you can get away with killing Namor without the Luna team up, but if he's got the Luna team up, he's so devastating to kill. Moving on to our next pick, I've put Psylocke in D tier just because she does require a little bit of skill, but she does have her position down there. You can get a few kills, but a lot of people are gonna have a hard time playing her at the lower elo. That's why I've put her a little lower. but at the higher elo, she's going to go A tier. The reason she's not S tier is because of our boy right above her. We've got Namor. Namor is also a very good counter to Psylocke, especially with the free squid. When he's got the icicle squid, it's hard for her to do a lot of work, and I main Psylocke, so, you know, it hurts my heart to put her in A tier, but it's just a cold hard truth. A tier. She's able to get a kills on her own. A lot of time, you're just sitting back doing peppering damage. It's hard to flank with this triple support meta, or if they got a Namor. So sometimes it's good to just stay with your team and just keep doing constant damage with her shurikens. Her ultimate is also very good, which is why I put her in A tier as well. Moving on to Scarlet Witch, she's gonna go in A tier for the DPS here because she's very simple to use. You know, a lot of people can't aim, like I said. Super easy kit. Her ultimate, you're probably not gonna get shot out at the lower elo. Maybe once you get the plat, you could start getting shot out. But for the most part, you can just hop on Scarlet Witch and get some free, easy kills. And then in high elo, she's F tier. Everyone shoots out her ult. People know how to maneuver around her regular damage. She's just sitting back a lot of times getting picked, so she's not doing much for the team. Moving on to our boy Spider-Man down there. I had to do it. Low elo, he's F tier. No one knows how to play him at these lower ranks. You're just wasting time. You're just running around, flying around the map while the rest of your team is trying to get the wins and trying to get the kills. You're not doing much for your team. His ultimate's all right at the lower elo. I've seen a few people still use it incorrectly, obviously. There's just so many other easier picks you can play at this lower elo. Learn Spider-Man on your own time in the practice range and in quick match, not in ranked. Higher elo, he's going to be B tier, maybe even S, or maybe even A tier if you get really good with him. I just like my other picks above him a little bit more because a lot of times when I get Spider-Man, they're just flying around the map, not doing enough damage. Moving on to Squirrel Girl, she's going to go in A tier, maybe even S tier as well if you really want for the low elo. Again, super simple character to use. You just sit back and the nuts do all the work for you. There's not many abilities that you got to learn. You throw the boulder, it traps them. Super simple. You've got the super jump to get a little bit out of a bind. Very easy. And then the ultimate. You just throw it down and it does the work for you. It auto-tracks people. You don't have to do anything. You don't really have to time it. People are on the ground anyways. They're in your line of sight. You throw it. That's it. Boom. It does damage for you. Super simple. For the higher elo, I've put her in C tier. She has her certain spots here. At the higher elo, she gets focused pretty easily with not many maneuverability. So she's pretty easy to kill, especially if you've got a Psylocke. When I'm Psylocke and I see a Squirrel Girl, she's a free kill every single time because she can't dodge the shurikens. You just aim at her, and she's done. And then if she does the super jump in the air, you dash up and you kill her. It's hard for her to track you with the nuts. Moving on to Star-Lord, he's a B tier pick in low elo, maybe A. The reason he's a little lower, because of the aim. You got to be very squirrely, moving around, flying up in the air, dodging shots, timing his ultimate, timing his combos. And if you got decent aim at low elo, he's going to be a good pick because a lot of people aren't going to really be able to play him, and they're not going to be able to shoot him out of the air because a lot of people can't play Hela at the lower elos. At higher elos, I've put him in between S and A tier. There's a lot of debate going on with this guy, which one he is. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys because he is very, very good. I see Sinatra and a lot of these guys playing him, so he must be good, right? Sinatra plays him, he must be good. But Sinatra could play anyone and he'd be good with them, to be honest. Star-Lord, because of the damage output and the auto aim ult that can just completely take out a whole team, he's very, very good. So he's going to be an S or A tier pick at the high elo. Moving on to Storm. Storm is hands down an S tier pick at the lower ranks. She can't get banned. People can't shoot at the enemies in the sky. She does a lot of damage. She damage teams up the whole team, and her ultimate just kills everything in sight. People don't know how to counter her at the low elo. You can just sit there and level up all the way to Diamond in pretty much a day just playing Storm if you just go in the practice range with her for a little bit. Moving on to, she's going to be A tier pick at higher elo as well. The reason she's not S tier pick is because she gets banned quite frequently, deservingly so, because she's quite overpowered. Moving on to the Punisher, another S tier pick. Super simple kit to use. You've got the turret, throw it down, spray at them on the ground. It does blast damage. Easy to use. There's not much movement ability. You just regular character. You run around. You sit back. You shoot his gun. If they get close to you, switch to your shotgun. Blast them with the shotgun. Especially if you've got the Rocket team up. He's even more OP at the lower ranks because no one's going to ban Rocket. You can't ban Rocket. And you just sit there and melt everyone. And then the ultimate, super simple. They're in your line of sight. Hide behind cover. Let the guns come out. Start blasting. He's going to be an A tier pick at the higher elo, mainly because he doesn't get banned. He's very good with the rocket team up. He is a little easier to kill than the other characters. That's why I put him in A tier. If you get a Psylocke, if you get a Hela who can just pick him from afar, he can't dodge the shots that well. That's why he's going to go in A tier. But overall, he's just a constant damage pick, and that's what you want in rank. Just constant damage. Even if you're not playing well, you can just switch the Punisher as a backup. Winter Soldier. This guy's also an S tier pick because if you can learn him in the low elo, you're going to be able to just take out so many tanks for free, right? Any DPS, any tank, and the ultimate just absolutely goes ham. A lot of people don't know how to counter Bucky at the lower ranks. And at the higher ranks, Bucky's going to go S tier as well because he is a devastation. If you got a dive character, he's getting blasted. If you've got a tank, he's getting grappled and trapped in and punched backwards and getting taken out instantly. And then his ultimate, he can just farm his ultimate again and again and again and again, and you can't stop it. That's why he's getting banned at these higher ranks. People are fed up with Bucky. They all say he needs a nerf. It is what it is. He's going to go in S tier. Moving on to another great pick, Wolverine. I've put him in B tier. He could maybe be A tier for the lower elos because it requires some IQ, actually, believe it or not, to play this character. You got to know where to hide, how to time the kidnap to grab the tanks, but he doesn't require any aiming. That's why he's a little bit higher on this list, because you can just go in there and rah, 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 you know? But you got to have a little bit of skill to use him to timing his abilities. And then he's going to go in S tier as well for high elo. He gets banned. So again, you can maybe drop him down to A tier. But if he doesn't get banned, he's brutal to play against. All right. So I really recommend learning Wolverine, especially right now, because he's not getting banned as much because people hate Bucky more. It's like a chess match, right? This is how the meta works. It constantly changes. And then who knows, maybe we'll see Psylocke start getting banned some more. I don't know. This is what I'm saying is, as the game evolves, Wolverine, he's getting banned less because people are playing Bucky more. So Wolverine's another good pick to go back to in S tier. And that's going to do it for our DPS. Let's move on to the healers. We've got Adam Warlock. Whoopsie. You guys can see I put him in D and C tier. So for low elo, he's going to go in D tier. He requires a bit of skill to use, right? His healing's not the best. There's a lot of other healers that give way more healing. And his ultimate just isn't that good because when they get rezzed, they're going to be at 50% health, and they're usually killed right away. And same thing with C tier. He's a little bit better at the higher elos if you figured out his kit and you can get a few more kills. But again, the other healers are just so much better that I've had to rank him a little bit lower. Moving on to Cloak and Dagger, S tier pick at the lower elo. Auto aim. Does the aiming for you, which is a big premise on some of these characters that I've put in the lower elo tiers. And her healing output is just very good. Her damage output is auto aim as well if you get a dive character that's coming near you. And her ultimate just absolutely goes ham. You don't really have to do much. You're about to die. Your team is about to die. Pop the ult. Do damage to the team. Heal your team. Super simple. And for high elo, she's going to go in S tier as well. Just an overall fantastic healer pick that probably top 3 right now in the game. Moving on to Invis, I put her in A tier at the lower ranks because you have to aim with her a little bit. There's a little bit more skill to her kit with the push-pull, pushing people off the map, pulling people into you to kidnap them a little bit, right, if you have a group. And you got to aim with her healing. There's also some positioning aspect there as well. When you're about to die, you can go invisible and then hide. And then for high elo, she's going to be an S tier pick. People are banning Invisible Woman because of her ultimate. Her ultimate is absolute gas. There's nothing you can do when you're in there unless you can try to grapple her out and pull her out of there, which is why people are banning Bucky. Once you get her ult up, it's wraps. Your team's pretty much going to win the fight, or you're not going to win the fight if their team has an invis and pops up, shields up. Just so you guys can see that I had Adam there at D tier for low elo. Moving on to Jeff. We've got Jeffy in C tier at the lower ranks. He's a lot easier to use than a lot of the healers. His healing is decent, not the best. I used to have him in F tier back when I made my healer tier list video, but I'm actually seeing some improvement with Jeff. He does pretty good healing. His ultimate goes ham. It's not that hard to use. You swallow them and then you throw them off the edge. You spit out your teammates if you got to keep them alive. And he does pretty decent healing, actually. It's not that bad, and it goes quite far. Now, at the higher elo, I might surprise you guys with this one. I haven't put him in F tier. I put him in D tier. He could be a little bit better. He could be C tier, but he's only good if you're doing triple support and you're doing flank DPS Jeff with the Luna team up. That is the only time I've seen the Jeff work. Other than that, he doesn't do much. He just slightly annoys you if he's trying to flank, and you can kill him pretty easily. He's not that hard to kill. And there's a bit of a skill gap there with Jeff if you're going to be really good with him. But again, because there's so many other healers that are so much better than him, he's going to go in D tier. Moving on to Loki. I put Loki at F tier in the low elo because he requires a lot of skill. Yep, Loki requires a lot of skill. You have to be able to aim. You have to be able to position yourself with the clones, and stealing people's ults. It's pretty hard, actually. I don't know how it's that hard, but it is pretty hard because sometimes it doesn't lock on to who you want. So you got to know when to time it and when to space yourself out correctly. At the higher elo, this guy is going to be an A tier pick, maybe even S tier, because counter dive. A lot of people are doing dive at the higher elo, and Loki, because he's got the clones, he can stay alive and he can steal your Luna, Cloak, or Invisible Woman's ult, and now you got two fantastic support ults instead of one because you got the Loki, and you're getting constant heals because you're not dying from the dive. There's an incredibly high skill ceiling right there, which is why I've put him in A tier right now. Moving on to another top healer, Luna. I've put her in A tier for the lower elo because you have to aim with her. You have to time her amplified damage and amplified healing really well. And her ultimate is obviously very good. We all know it. And she's going to go in S tier as well for high elo. Pretty much we all know Luna. I don't really have to explain it. Everyone's playing her. We all know why. The ultimate's broken. Her healing is one of the best healings in the game, and her movement ability is very good with the ice skates. Moving on to Mantis. She's going to be a C tier pick. Her healing is all right. Her saving grace is the movement. There's aim involved. Again, a lot of people at the lower elo with the aim. And her ultimate's pretty good. It's all right. At the higher ranks, I'm seeing a lot more people playing Mantis because of the damage team up, especially if you get the if you get the Hawkeye Iron team, and you could just absolutely obliterate people with the damage team up. Same with Hela as well. She works really great with Hela. And last but not least, our boy Rocket. He's going to go in S tier for the lower ranks because he doesn't require that much skill to heal. You just sit back. You've got the res beacon. It does the work for you. You sit back and you launch the orbs. Boop, boop, boop. Just sit back, launch the orbs. Use the team up with Punisher. You're going to fry everyone at the lower elo. You could probably rank up to Diamond doing you and your friend Rocket Punisher team up because no one's going to be able to stop you. And then the ultimates, it's all right. It's not the best. He could also go A tier maybe if you really think about it. And last but not least, Rocket, he's going to go in B tier at the higher elo just because his heals aren't the greatest, but his saving grace, I keep saying, is the team up with Punisher. Guys, even at these higher ranks at Celestial, I'm doing the team up with Punisher, and it's still working. It's still working. That's how broken it is because people aren't really banning Rocket or Punisher. That's my tier list, guys, for low elo and high elo. Let me know which ones you agree with. Let me know which ones you disagree with. If you disagree with it, please give me an accurate, detailed breakdown in the comment. Don't just say, hey, I disagree with Captain America being C tier. Give me a reason. If you can give me a reason, I'm open to changing my mind. And who knows, as the game evolves and adapts, we'll keep updating this tier list. We'll keep making more videos on it. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and peace out.